What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Mon Goals show, sponsored by Roughneck Scarves. I'm Mike. With me is Kevin, Josh. Fellas, we have not one, not two, but three. Oh, come on! The twist top didn't make a noise.
That's Twist top.
So, we got 3 wins to talk about tonight. Guys, cheers! Victory beverages all around. I'm worried about stepping on a bottle cap now. Josh, what is your victory beverage this evening?
Whatever tailgate beer got left in my cooler. Breckenridge Brewery Summer Pills. Fine Colorado ales.
Kev, is yours a nice canned vino? Is that what you're drinking?
No, surprisingly enough, Riley got like a $4 6-pack over the weekend, and yeah, it's not bad for a $4 6-pack. So yeah,
nice. I am rocking the premium ginger brewed ginger. It's ginger ale. I thought it was like ginger beer. I'm so slacking tonight. It doesn't. This is terrible. This is why I don't do victory beverages. The struggle is real. Guys, we got so much to talk about. Last week, we did not have a show because there was no power in the studio. For those of you listening, I'm gesturing all around me because of storms that rolled through. My power kept flickering on and off and on and off. And so, so no show. But that means that we have 3 wins to talk about tonight, which, you know, for those who listened to our last episode, I think I put the over-under at 1.5 for these or 2 of those games, and we came away with 6 points. So
did we all go under when you did that? The 3 of us.
I think we did. Yeah.
Went under.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah, we all did under. It's not even good ginger. Okay, anyway. So I think the way that we do this is we want to talk about all 3 games, and I think that there are some lessons learned as a result of these 3 games. I think there's still some things that we need to work out as well. This isn't like we won 3 games with the greatest team in the world. So let's go through each of the 3 games and sort of refresh people's memories about what happened. You guys jump in and interject at any point as we go through those 3 games. If there is a strong takeaway or if there's something you want to talk about as it relates to a game, you let me know. Otherwise, we are going to barrel through this and come out the other side basically just all like happy because we're talking about 9 points, which is pretty awesome. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, awesome. Let's do it. So first game, we beat Indy 1-0 at Indy. So for those of you forget how this goal went down, basically Velarde was pulled down just outside the box, and I use pulled down in air quotes because it probably wasn't a foul. But then Tommy Williamson stepped up, took a shot, it banked off the wall and in, and that was it. That was all it took, was 1-0 at Indy. I did put a note, Griffin was the captain in this one. Again, this is the second time that Griffin has been captain, so it seems like when Kenny's not on the field, it's been going to Danny. So, interesting. We can talk about that later. Julian Peters got a red card, which it wasn't a red card. Basically ran into somebody, and it was a second yellow, which was crazy. I do want to ask, Dikwa had a chance at a 50-yard open net and hit the one player that was in his way. So I figured I would ask, if you had the chance to take a 50-yard open netter, are you taking it or are you trying to dribble it in and kill some time, Kev? What are you doing?
I don't know. I mean, it's such a hard. I'd probably take the shot. And I don't know. Saying he hit the one player in his way, that's like
he hit the one player in his way, Kev.
And the goalkeeper saved it. The one person in
his way. It wasn't the keeper. It wasn't the keeper, though.
I know. It was the defender. No, I don't. Yeah, I mean, you're down to 10 men too. You're tired. You've been defending all game. You have an open net. You're 50 yards out. You're a striker. Yeah, you take it.
Yeah, you don't dribble it in. I mean, you have to shoot that. I don't see an argument for dribbling it in. But going back a little bit to the goal for the Hounds, do we feel bad about scoring off of a bad foul call?
No. I was going to say, this is one of my favorite kinds of wins. You're away from home. You're not playing too well. You're going against maybe a past season rival, maybe hard to call Indy a rival this year, although things develop over multiple seasons. Indy gets a few chances early in the game. And yeah, we had a scrappy, deflected bullcrap goal. Like if that goal goes in against us, I'm really upset. Not because there's anything like wrong, nothing like because anyone did anything wrong, but it's just like what can you do, right? And then we sit on it. We get a red card. We're down in 10 minutes. We defend. We're away from home, and we scrap out a win. Like I love those kind of wins.
I mean, like I'm glad it's a win. I'm glad that we were able to scrap out the win. I wouldn't say that I love those kind of wins, but I prefer something more akin to Tampa, where we could have at one point been up 3-0. But I don't disagree. I think we take that goal. You got to take
a season full of those kind of wins is probably a lot. It probably gets boring very quickly. But like to have a conversation with like the opposing fan of like you just scored off a deflection and like we had a lot of chances and we just didn't score. I'm like, yeah, like you're right. Just like, and we still
and
got
this
3
is
points.
why nobody likes you.
I will say this is the type of game that really made me feel better about this team because it showed heart, it showed determination, it showed grit. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like this was a game where it's like, oh, we got a couple of goals, now we're kind of just wasting time. It was definitely a hard fought win. And that's the thing we haven't been seeing with this team is a feeling of urgency, a feeling of determination where you felt like they really wanted it. I think even coach said at one time, like, the team just did not want it during one of our, bad games at the beginning of the season. So it's kind of nice to see the team want it and it show on the field.
This was that game where once we went up 1-0, Josh, I was thinking the same thing. It was like, okay, like now let's see what these guys are made of. Because in previous games, I wasn't feeling too sure, and we're gonna get to some of those concerns later. But no, I agree. I think this was a good mental toughness game. See the game out. It's scrappy, but you still get 3 points from it, so that's great.
And it's also like not only going one up and kind of having a scrappy game, but it's like going a man down pretty early in the second half. Like that's a long time to absorb that pressure and to see it through. Now, with all that said, this was against Indy, a team that has been struggling, and a coach who left the team right after this game. Like reports are like the same night. Like it was him at the press conference being like, I don't know what else I could have done. Like they're not listening to me. They don't care about what I have to say. And then like him quitting that night and then them announcing it the next morning. So yeah, it's, I don't, it's a fun feeling to be on the other side of that instead of
like a sorry, not sorry kind of thing.
Like, you know what? Yeah. We did that.
Yeah.
And then quickly, like going back to going down to 10 men early. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like given our form, I was like, well, there goes our lead. Like there's no way we're holding on to it. So the fact that they did hold on to it and we walked away from 3 points against, I mean, sure, a weakened Indy team that's struggling of late, but away from home is just wonderful.
I don't care, man. A win against Indy is a win against Indy. I know they're struggling, but it still feels so good, even though they're not in our conference. Like, I love it. Love it. Next game was a win at Tampa. Tampa, which was the one that we were like, oh, like, you just take your lumps, like, lose the 3 points. Danny Griffin gets the first goal. For those of you who forget, it was off a counterattack. Danny starts the play, plays it out wide to Cicerone. Cicerone, basically, Dequel makes a dummy run right through the middle, leaving Danny wide open to get the ball back, and he just slots it right into the lower right-hand corner, which was mwah. Cicerone got the second goal. Basically, it was later in the game. Danny Griffin started it again. It was like a slide tackle pass to Kenny. Kenny just slotted it right through the middle to a streaking Cicerone, who just tapped it over the keeper. We almost had a third goal in the 67th minute. There was this mad scramble, and one of their defenders had to head it off the line. I don't want to say we dominated this game, but we definitely took our chances, and Tampa didn't really come to life until the stoppage time. They got one back in stoppage time. They almost got two in stoppage time. But, like, again, this was another game against, Tampa, who some people were saying we're slumping, but, like, they're still top of our division. And we went into their house and took away 3 points. So can't complain about that.
Yeah, team goals. I mean, it was nice that, especially that first goal, seeing passing it over and then passing it back. And it was good to see. It felt great to see the team playing the way that they've been playing, and this was definitely where the first one felt like, okay, cool, like we kind of eked that one out. This one felt a lot more, I don't know, just like we were on the front foot and we stayed there, and that was nice to see.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I think I mean this would be the game where, like in Indy, I would still I'm hoping the Tampa game is the turning point that we talk about so often with Lily teams, where they start poorly and grow into the season. The Indy game still felt like kind of lumped in with those kind of first part of the season games where we scrapped. We didn't play particularly that well. We got the win. Great, whatever. Yeah, following up on what both of you just said, it felt like we significantly upped our game. I mean, like 1-2 touches. Players knew where other players were. Players were linking up a lot better. I mean, the first goal being a great example of it. It just felt so fluid and so natural, and so, and even like Mike, you mentioned like Griffin making the kind of like challenge pass to Forbes. Even before that, Cicerone winning his header and winning it like back in a good area where Griffin can win it and pass it on to Forbes. So, and yeah, I mean, it could have been. I mean, you mentioned we had another big chance where it was kind of a mad scramble. It could have been 4 or 5. I mean, there was a lot of other chances where the Tampa goalkeeper had to make, some pretty good saves. So once again, I mean, yeah, well, I don't think Dos Santos played in this game or whatever for Tampa. I mean, so you can, yeah, they have but it doesn't matter. They're top of the table. They're in form. They're feeling good. They're at home. The best stadium in the USL, which I don't buy at all. And yeah, this to me felt like a huge turning point where it looked like a different team. It looked like the team that we thought might exist with all the kind of technical talent and the player talent that we had since the start of the season. It was a huge step, and it's a huge step forward for me, I think, in this game.
I remember thinking in this game the same thing, where it was, okay, we've seen flashes of the guys coming together a little bit in a few of the previous games, but then we always sort of regressed. And so, Kev, to your point, I was thinking the same thing, where it's like, is this that point where, is this what Lily was hoping to achieve all along? And can we see this consistently? And honestly, this sort of, made its way into the next game, which was against Red Bull 2. We won another 2-1 win at home, which was the first home win at Highmark Stadium this season, which feels a little crazy to say. It was Hawaiian shirt night. Just to paint the picture for those of you who weren't there, and then we're going to get into some of the questions that have been coming in. In the 13th minute, Todd Wharton scores. Kev, you talked about like a great team effort and everything syncing up. This was a case that there was a cross that started with Dixon that went to Dikwa. Dikwa put it off the post. Kenny retrieves it and just waits and waits and waits some more, and then crosses it to Wharton, who comes streaking in late, and he puts it in, which was just fantastic to see. You could see Wharton calling for it from a mile away. And then the second goal was also sort of this team goal where Griffin is streaking down the side. He gets taken down just outside the box. You can hear fans are going crazy. He doesn't stay down. He pops right back up again. He crosses it to Rivera. Rivera drops it to Kenny. Kenny chips it to Cicerone, instead of Cicerone putting it on goal, he puts it back across the middle, and Dikwa volleys it out of the air into the net. Like that, to me, when they released, the goals of the week this week for USL, they had Wharton's goal up there, and it was literally just Kenny's pass to Wharton. I was like, you should have put that one in where it literally touches like 5 or 6 of our players before going in the back of the net, because that, again, was just, like it was amazing. And then we could talk about it in the overall thoughts here in just a second, but I got to call out Vidiello made an awesome diving save in the 25th minute off a set piece. And then it was immediately followed by a bobbled corner and an own goal, which you could tell he immediately won it back. But I wanted to call out, he made 2 or 3 like pretty massive saves in this game. And I think this is a trend that we're starting to see as well. So Josh, you were obviously there. We could see you on camera a few times. Do you want to talk a little bit more about this game? And then we can get into some overall thoughts from all 3.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things with this one. One was the energy in the stands was really great for this game, and it kind of felt special to begin with. I don't know why, but it did. It was a situation where it felt like from the beginning of this game, we were on the front foot, and we did not let off that gas, and it was great. That first goal was hilarious because I forget who hit the post before the goal.
Dequa.
Yeah. So Dequa kicks it, hits the post, and it bounces out. Or not out, but like, it's still in play. But when it hit the post, everyone in the Steel Army is just like groaning, like, oh, it's so close. I think I was like, I slammed down a water bottle or something like that. I'm like, son of a gun, whatever. And as I'm walking, like shaking my head, just kind of like angry, I like hear everyone start like you kind of feel that build up for a goal where everyone's just like getting a little bit quieter, or it just kind of builds up. And I like turn around just in time to see the goal, and it was great. And then I was the one involved, supposed to be letting off the smoke on the left-hand side if you're looking at our stand. So I'm like running back to get the smoke. I'm like, crap, because I just walked away from it because I thought we just missed. So that was fun. But yeah, so that was great. And yeah, it was a fun game. It's finally, it's been too long since seeing a win. I can't remember what the exact number is. It's like something crazy, like 280 some days since we've had a win at Highmark.
At Highmark, yeah.
Yeah, in regular play. So it was with fans, I should say.
Yeah.
So it was nice to finally see.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, I want to do some like overall thoughts, overall takeaways, all of this. I'm going to actually kick it off here with a question from Burger Brand. He asked, guys, how do you guys feel about Todd playing as a wingback? Also, why isn't Dover starting? So Dover, as our buddy Steve Mattias pointed out, Dover is on the injury list. We're not sure how long his recovery is going to be. He did see some minutes in these 3 games, but he didn't start. I think it was against Tampa. He came in towards the end. But guys, what are your thoughts on Wharton as a wingback? I know that when Liz was talking to Coach Lilly, she said, "Oh, you're going to put him on the back line," and he said, "No," and then he did, and he scored. So, Kev, what do you think about Wharton as a wingback?
Yeah, I thought a lot about this while watching the game too, and yeah, like I thought about Liz's question too, where because I was like, okay, well, fine, maybe he's more of a, especially like, well, in possession, he was going to be more in the midfield, and that was undeniable and obvious. But like in defense, maybe he's still he's gonna play more of like a wide midfielder. He's gonna like in defense, he was part of that back 5. He would fall right in the line with them, and yeah, he was a defender when we were out of possession. It doesn't make sense to me, but it worked really well. I thought Wharton had a great game. I don't know if I want to continue to see him there, to be honest. I don't think he can do a full season at that position, but it might have been a scenario where he thinks Wharton is just good enough where he needs to get on the field somehow. In that position, you do have flexibility, especially when we're in possession, to get higher up the field. He wants in that scenario, in that system, for the wingbacks to get high and contribute to kind of cycling possession and creating chances. So in that sense, it made sense. He's an experienced defender. The only worry, and this happened once or twice. Yeah, I mean, he can get beat when he's one-on-one with another defender. That's not his thing that he's good at. But it worked. I don't think we'll continue to see it. But I mean, yeah, he had a hell of a game.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a Band-Aid. Like this doesn't feel like a permanent solution to anything. It just feels like a situation where waiting for Dover to get better and just kind of having this Band-Aid on the situation.
I do think it's one of those things, though, where we've seen in previous season, Lilly, how much he loves having guys that can play pretty much anywhere. And we've now seen Wharton play in multiple positions. We've seen Alex Dixon play in multiple positions. Over the stretch, he went from left forward to right back to right midfield. He's everywhere. You have Rivera that has played in, as a wingback or as a midfielder. At one point, he was up top pressing late in the game just to put some pressure on the team. So, I think Lilly having these guys at his disposal is just going to further, Lillyify how other teams have to deal with them. We've stopped at the beginning of the game. They used to, or they still release the starting lineup, but it used to be positionally. The Hounds have just stopped doing that. It's just a list of players because it's like, who knows where these guys are actually going to play.
Although to counter that slightly, I think I did see a graphic where they had Wharton at right wing back, and I was like, no, it's a 4-3-3. Wharton's in the midfield. They got this wrong. And then I was like, holy crap! More.
I think part of the problem is I'm wondering if coach even tells him anymore. Like I'm wondering if he like just writes down the player's name in a line, like he doesn't actually put the formation like on the graphic. He's just like, yeah, here's all the people who are starting because I have to give that to you, and that's all he gives them. I wouldn't be surprised if that's it.
At first, I thought you meant you weren't sure if coach told the players where they were playing, just like get on the field and figure it out. Definitely not that.
No.
I do think it's the latter. I think it's just they have a sheet and he just writes down the names and says, "Here you go. That's your starting."
Good enough.
I'm wondering if for a while, if our buddy Matt Greba wasn't guessing at the positions, like based on the players, I think this is who it'll be, and then he's just like, "I'm done. I give up." Yeah.
I will say, as the last point on Wharton, though, I think in given the right scenario, like okay, I mean Lily, like in the press conference buildup and everything, would never admit to like Red Bulls being one of the weaker opponents in the division. And in fact, I think he probably said, he talked the Red Bulls up as you would expect a manager to do. But let's say, the Red Bulls are one of the weaker opponents. We're at home. We really need to attack at home. We need to be on the front foot and have possession. To have someone like Wharton in that position who's better on the ball, who can pick a pass, who, wants to get up and attack makes sense. So in situational examples like this and a handful of games throughout the entire season, from a tactical standpoint against your opponent, it might make sense to do this again. I wouldn't be like tearing my hair out if we saw Wharton at right wing back again, given a certain opponent. But I don't think it's like that's not his position. I think going forward, but yeah, he did well.
Fun fact: Red Bulls are the worst goal differential team in the East. I think they're second worst in the whole league. But yeah, so they're not the worst team.
They don't look like a team. Like they have really good play. Like when Vitiello made that brilliant save off the free kick. I mean, the Red Bulls guy was like 30 yards out. I was like, you're having a joke if you're taking this shot. And now, granted, I think from the replay, it was gonna go wide, but by like an inch, and it was a hell of a shot. And I forget which one of their forwards, but they have some brilliant forwards too. So, yeah, it's weird. I mean, I think individually they're incredible, but they just can't put it together.
Gonna read this one just because it made me chuckle. Adam Mark said, very unrelated, but the way Todd Wharton tapes his wrist reminds me of Danny Earls in the best way possible. This is the second time in 2 weeks that Danny Earls' name has come up in my presence, so I had to give that a shout out as well. The first time was Kevin's new father-in-law reminding us that he has interviewed Danny Earls before, and he listens to the show, Josh, and his favorite part is just when we give Kevin the hardest time possible. He said he doesn't know anything about soccer, could care less, but as long as we're ragging on Kevin, that's all that matters. So
I can see why he likes the show.
That's right.
And no, Danny Earls gets brought up a lot this season, especially because of Josh Gatt. Everyone's saying that Josh Gatt is kind of like that heart and passion, and we want to see him more on the field, which is another, we haven't seen him in the lineup and really making any, starts or even being subbed in that often, which is kind of sad. I do want to see him more.
Yeah. So guys, let's talk about takeaways for all three games across the board. And I want to start with something that's just really broad. I think the obvious is, if I ask the question, how are we feeling? I think that the obvious question is we're feeling good, but are we like, all ships are go, we're flying ahead, top of the division, or is there anything that is still lingering based on what you guys saw that you'd like to see us maybe work out over the next 2 or 3 games that then will make you think like all ships go? Kev, how are you feeling?
I mean, there was like 1 or 2 points that I still wanted to make about the Red Bulls game that will still fit in the context of this question in the conversation. The Red Bulls performance was honestly, I mean, short of maybe the 7-0 win in the first home playoff game against, I forget who, but
Birmingham.
Birmingham. Short of that, this is against the Red Bulls. This was one of the most complete performances I've seen of a Riverhounds team in the past. I can't think of how many years. I enjoyed watching that team so much against the Red Bulls, and it was a continuation of what started in Tampa. And so, given that it's kind of a 2-game stretch. and the signs I'm seeing, i.e., the 1-touch, 2-touch play, that players are finding each other without having to, sit on the ball for 4 seconds. All of that indication, on top of, Lily starts slow and he picks up momentum in the middle of the season, suggests to me that, yes, like we've turned the corner. We're starting to see, the fruit of all the hard work of trying to bring together these technical players and having them play together, and have this kind of 1-touch, 2-touch play and kind of counterattacking, and it's really exciting. And I'm honestly, I mean, this, I from the last time I recorded, I took the under on 1.5 points or whatever. Now I've completely flipped, and I'm like, why would we lose in the next few games? That's how well I think I know it's only 2 games. I get that. But I mean, what are 2 games? And I'm really positive now, going to the middle part of the season.
Kev, to that point, there's a takeaway that I had that I was going to bring up later, but earlier this season, I sort of made the point that I felt that Lily, as he loves to do, was rotating the team and rotating the formation so much that these guys wouldn't have a chance to click and gel and get to the point where they can make those 1-touch, 2-touch passes. Over the course of these 3 games, there are only 4 players that started all 3 games: Rivera, Wheat, Griffin, and Cicerone. That's it. So, like, we weren't dealing with the same starting lineup. Game after game. I was gonna say week after week after week. That's not the case. Game after game after game after game for these guys to gel. It's them doing it either in practice, or it's just everything coming together in the way that Lily hopes it comes together. So
I do think that there's a core group of players: Griffin, Forbes, Cicerone, Dixon. I'm tempted to throw Dequa in there, but I'll hold them out for now. That really seem like they link up with each other really well. Cicerone making the runs that he's making like the flicks that he's making. Those players in particular, I think, have been combining really well.
I'll say, over the past 3 games, someone else mentioned it here in the chat. I feel like I need to find it to make sure that I give them credit. Burger Brand, he said that he was surprised when Rivera started, but he hasn't been that bad. Honestly, I think that Rivera has been like low key. I don't want to say man of the match. I know I've been pumping Rivera all season. Kevin, you're shaking your head, but I think that the way that he can get forward in the attack, the way, especially in Tampa, he was drawing fouls. He's all over the place. So I don't think he's not the full package yet, but he's probably like a 7 out of 10 in my mind. And if he keeps down this track, I think he's going to be solid. So, Kev, you disagree?
I think you want to like Rivera, and whatever. I think he's fine. I don't expect to see too much more out of him this season.
Okay, Josh.
Yeah, Griffin is the only player who's played every single minute of every game this season. Williams has played in every game this season. Both those facts are from Shoes, so thanks for that. I just stole those from our Discord. But yeah, it's my fun answer to your original question about how we feeling about the season is that I disagree with what you said at the very beginning of the show, where we're not the greatest team in the league. We are. Okay. The real answer, the not so fun answer.
There's Josh.
Yeah. The not so fun answer is I still do not feel comfortable with our defense. I feel like that is our weak point, and that is why we might not be as good as I think we should be. Is nothing to do with the offense. Midfield, it's our defense. It still does not feel like a Lily defense. I made the comment earlier to someone that like Vidiello is having one of his best seasons. It's not because he has more clean sheets than he had other seasons. It's because he's working a lot harder than he has the previous season. He is having to put in a lot of work because the defense isn't as good. So he's making some really great saves, which is something we didn't really have to see that much from him previously. So it is a situation where it's like, I would like him to get the Golden Glove because of his defense, not because of his saves. And that's my one worry about the season.
I'll quickly follow up with that. I mean, I think I don't think I've been a critic against Vitiello. I just haven't.
You're a critic against everyone.
Hold on. In this last game, I literally was ready to tweet out when he made the diving save on the set piece. I was gonna be like, I want to see Kevin complain about that. And then the very next play, he catches it and bobbles it and it goes in. So I was like, crap. There goes that.
And even, I'll be honest, like the save that didn't have to be a save, but still was a save, like for that free kick.
Even that, you can't give him credit.
Well, I don't even think that was his best save of the game. I mean,
no.
Yeah. He's that, and I felt really bad for him because for the error that he made for the Red Bull goal, because I mean, he was incredible.
Yeah.
Because like Josh was saying, I mean, it wasn't that he just needed to sit back and make saves. He was extremely active throughout the entire motion of the game, throughout the entire gameplay of the game. The thing that kind of drove me nuts was the commentators for that game kept kind of wrongfully critiquing how high our back line was. Like, they got to sort that out. They keep getting in chances and blah, blah, blah. And that's the accepted risk you take when you play that backline. But when you do, you need your keeper to be active in that scenario and always be paying attention and having good situational awareness. And Vitiello was spot on. Every time there was a chance that the Red Bulls team would break through, Vitiello was there to clean up, and he did it every time. And that was an incredibly good performance. And yeah, I have nothing more to say. He's a very good keeper. Yeah.
So my next question here to you guys, and this again is very broad. Are we a good team? Because I think prior to these last 3 games, we'd be sitting here going, maybe middle of the table, battling for a playoff spot. We've won 5 of our last 7 and have gotten points in 6 of our last 7. Are we a good team now? What do we think? Josh, you're going to say yes, right? I mean, we're a good team.
I don't think we were a bad team before. I don't think we're a great team still. I do think we're a good team, though. I mean, we're definitely a good team, and I still have the same reservations I had before these 3 wins, which is, can we consistently perform? And this is helping me a lot to feel confident, and I hope the guys on the team feel a lot more confident than they have the games before these 3. I would love to see this continue to roll on, and I just want to see our defense get more stout and to not feel nervous when we're only a goal ahead, because right now I feel like we need 2 goals to make myself not feel so jittery while watching the game.
Kev, are we a good team?
I was, before Josh was talking, I was very much ready to say we're a very great team. But Josh kind of talked me into, our defense is still a little suspect. But no, I think I'm fully convinced, because just to quickly reiterate myself. I mean, the Tampa game, it wasn't like we had 2 chances and put them away. I mean, I think that was the big thing that always kind of gave me hesitation in previous years. It felt like our chance conversion was insane. Like, we would get 3 chances in a game and score 3, or we needed, Nico Brett to just have an incredible shot and then go in, and then we're going to defend for 89 minutes. That's not the case, especially in the Tampa game and in the Red Bulls game. Could have been 4, could have been 5. I rarely say that on this podcast, and that's what gives me the most hope. And we have the players to do it too. And Griffin looks like an incredible USL midfielder at this point, sitting alongside one of the best midfielders in Kenny. And sure, the defense is definitely the weakest part, but even at that, I don't think we have a particularly bad defense. It's just maybe the weak, in the first season that we don't have a Von Chiusio or a Greenspan or a Hugh Roberts or a Toby Adewale back there. But, I'm hoping by the end of the season, we will have, one of these 3 or 4 central defenders will play their way into that role in all the fans' kind of view.
This feels like almost a different approach to winning than what we're used to, because it used to be shut down defense, and now it feels like the focus is much more on the attack. And if you're going to do that, you're going to commit bodies forward and you're going to sacrifice some of the defense. And it feels like Lily might be okay with that. Now, that might all change, Kev, to your point. One of these guys might develop into, a common name that we're shouting out every single year, like a Greenspan or an Adewale or a Roberts. But we'll see. But if that is sort of the tactic that Lily has taken, maybe that gives us some insight into how he sees the USL evolving. Let me ask you guys this. Last year, we spent a lot of time comparing the 2020 team to the team in 2019 that steamrolled Birmingham 7-0 in the playoffs. Do you guys think that this team, I won't say is, but do you think this team has the potential to be better than that team that steamrolled Birmingham 7-0 in the playoffs? Josh?
Yeah, I feel actually more confident in our offense than I have probably any other season as of late. Like it's a situation where our offense, I feel like Cerrone and like what we have up there right now can perform and can outscore any of our previous teams, very possibly.
Kev, you agree?
Yeah, wholeheartedly. And I think that we're still, I don't know, I don't think it's going to be a given that our like defensive talent level equates to us giving up a goal every game. I think that could still get sorted out. But one of the most difficult things I think is to set up a team to create a lot of chances, and we're creating a lot of chances, and that's really encouraging.
1.1 goals per game giving up right now.
Yeah. Steve Mattias, our buddy Steve, said King Kenny is the USL assist leader and tied with the team record that Kerr has. How far does he push those numbers up? I mean, I think, Kevin Kerr has talked about his like legend around this team. I think Kenny has to be included in that conversation. You figure, I don't know, we're a third of the way through the season. You think Kenny gets 10 more assists, 12 more assists?
I don't know about. It's hard telling. Honestly, I don't know. He's done something pretty spectacular faster than, obviously Kevin did when he was here. Kevin Kerr was here for six seasons. So yeah, he has hit that pretty fast, and it's pretty impressive. So, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him back next year as well. So I feel like he can definitely get a good, lead on that record and make it really hard for anyone to come in and take it from him.
Agreed. Guys,
with the forwards ahead of him and the number of chances that we're creating, I have no doubt that he'll get, into double figures for assists this season.
Yeah. Any other takeaways or thoughts as it relates to these three games before we talk about just sort of the division in general and sort of what's coming up here?
Feels good to win, To have these 3 wins in a row is just spectacular, and it was a pleasant surprise to all of us. And I am super excited for Wednesday's match. I know it's going to be, pretty fast turnaround, but yeah, it's looking good.
I remember waking up on Father's Day after we won the night before, and like, I was buzzing, man. Like it wasn't quite akin to like the first time the Penguins won the cup in the recent era, like buzzing like that. But I definitely felt like a little skip in my step. Like, all right, yeah, we got 3 points. Don't got to worry about that this week. This is going to be great. Okay, cool. So yeah, can't disagree. Guys, we've officially played 10 games, which that means we now get to look at the table.
And these graphics.
That's right. For those of you listening on the podcast, we can actually all look at the table together and analyze this thing and break it down. So the Hounds have sort of leapfrogged everybody. We went from being outside the playoff spots to second. Now, granted, teams around us, Tampa, Charlotte, Hartford, they all have games in hand on us. We're the only ones. Well, Miami and Red Bulls have 10 games as well, but we've played the most games in the division thus far. We're sitting on 17 points. Tampa has 21, so we're only 4 points back from first place. Again, they have a game in hand, so that number could be different. And it's only 10 games in. We're not going to overanalyze this thing to death. But Yeah, guys, thoughts on jumping up to second? Do we fall back beneath the line from here on out?
I don't think we fall back behind. I think we stay within the top four. I am a little bit worried about Hartford, just because Hartford is having a good season, and it's deceptive right now because they're in fourth place, but yet they've only had 7 matches. So out of everyone on this list, they have the least amount of games played, other than Charleston Battery, which is another team which isn't doing terrible. So, but yeah, Hartford is definitely the better team out of those two, and I do think they're going to be a challenge.
Kev, do you think we got a shot at taking first place here at some point and riding it out for the season?
I mean, I think it's still going to be really hard to pull in Tampa. Absolutely doable. But no, I mean, I think, there's, especially for me, I'm doing a lot of big talk for really only 2 games. I mean, the Indy game was impressive in its own right, but it was impressive in a different way. But, and I agree with Josh. Hartford is the team that we still need to kind of somewhat expect for them to maybe leapfrog us once they catch up in games. But yeah, no, I mean, I now I'm seeing top 3 is absolutely where we belong, and we'll be fighting around, and yeah, we have something to kind of hunt for the entire season to reign in Tampa.
So that all starts, as Josh alluded to, this Wednesday, which is depending. Well, I would say depending on when you're listening to this, like 2 days away. We are away at Loudoun at 7 p.m. As we just saw in the graphic, Loudoun has 1 win and 7 losses this season, including losing their last 5 games. So hopefully we can get another 3 points there. But then we turn right back around, and we're at home on Saturday against Charlotte at 7 p.m. One thing of note, Charlotte do not have a midweek game, so they're likely to be a bit fresher when they come into Highmark. We also have never beat Charlotte still, so that's something else that we need to consider. Josh, you mentioned a little bit about condensed schedule and all of that. On the flip side of that, we got another game next Wednesday at Charleston Battery. And after that, we get a breather, and we'll have a couple of weeks where we just have 1 week per game until roughly mid-August. So that will be good. But let's start by talking about the 2 games that are going to happen before we get together again. Loudoun on Wednesday at Loudoun, and then Charlotte at home on Saturday. What are our thoughts on this? Josh, just give me your, when I tell you those 2 games, what do you immediately think of?
For Loudoun, I'm expecting to see a whole different lineup. I'm thinking this is going to be a good game to get kind of our, bench players some time to actually gel and see what they can do. I fully expect this to be a game full of people we're not used to seeing starting. Would not surprise me at all. Now, keep in mind that we still have 5 subs this season, so it's a situation where even if we start out with, a very weird lineup, we can kind of work our way back to a normal lineup by the end of the game. By probably like the 70th minute or something like that, we might see something a little bit more akin to what we're used to. Man, I really want to beat Charlotte. I really, really think this game has to be like you sit your bench or your starters for Loudoun, and you save your energy for Charlotte. It's a home game. We are still struggling at home. Like we have 1 win at home, so that's important. And it's July 3rd. Which is typically, it's not July 4th game, which unfortunately for some reason we don't have a July 4th game, which is crazy to me. But it is still going to be a big game. I know the Steel Army, we still plan on having like a all-day tailgate like we usually do for July 4th. So I expect the game to be pretty well attended. So it would be nice to see a very competitive side from the Hounds. And to finally beat Charlotte would feel so good, especially for July 3rd game. So that's where I'm at with this.
Kev, how are you feeling about these games?
A lot of the same with Josh. I would be a little more. I would want to start more players than Josh would, I think, for Loudoun. But I think I would kind of want to see maybe two players rotated in the midfield and the attack for Loudoun, because I think I don't know. There seems to be a lot of momentum around us creating chances right now. A lot of players are linking up with each other really well, forming really good partnerships. And not that I think that, breaking that up for a midweek game is really going to significantly hinder anything. But I think it's another opportunity against a very weak team to continue momentum. It's another opportunity for the likes of Cicerone or Dixon or Dequat to feel good about themselves, right? To get a goal and to give them more confidence, to give them more momentum. And I think that's really helpful and important. At the same time, yeah, I mean, I think if you start everyone, people can be a little complacent. So by kind of mixing the pot a little bit, bringing a few players that are on the fringe, who are on the bench, who feel like they should be starters, could still keep the tempo and the energy high against Loudoun. And then, yeah, I mean, you have to go in full strength for Charlotte. Charlotte's huge. That's gonna be from how the season's going. I think and seasons gone by. You circle Louisville on the calendar, you circle Indy on the calendar. This is in the span of a week, all of a sudden, this is like the biggest game of the season, because I think it could define so much. If Loudoun goes the way that we expect it to, that's 4 wins in a row. We're back at home against a team that's, quite good. We've never beaten them before. July 4th weekend. That turns into a huge game, and I think it's going to be a really good game. But feeling good.
Agreed. Gentlemen, sorry, I was looking for some tweets for sort of our next point here. But before we do that, we did the over-under for the last 3 games, and we all took the under at 1.5. If we're saying we got Loudoun on Wednesday, Charlotte on Saturday, Charleston Battery following Wednesday. If I put the over-under at 4.5 points, are you taking the over or the under? That's essentially if you're taking the over, you're saying at least a win and 2 draws.
I'm probably taking the under, but
so you're thinking like a win, a draw, and a loss.
Yeah, to be fair and safe. I mean, as much as I talk this team up, it is only 2. Like I keep saying 2 wins in a row. It's 3. The Indy game just felt different. It feels like this has been a different team for the past 2 games. So I think them proving it again, and no team is perfect. We're not gonna not lose another game for the rest of the season. That's not gonna happen. And Charlotte and Charleston are 2 tough games back to back. So I'm just kind of working in some statistical likelihoods of things not going perfectly, and that's in that game. But yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good that we'll get at least a win and a draw over the next 3 games.
Josh, how about you?
I'll take the over. I mean, I feel like people are going to say trap game. People are going to say jinx, whatever. I feel like Loudoun, you get 3 points. I feel like if you don't get 3 points against Loudoun, I don't know what you're doing. So you get 3 points there. And then at that point, you're just trying to get 2 more points to get the over. And I feel like Charlotte is not... They're not the greatest team in the world. We just, for some reason, haven't beat them. So I feel like that's a very possible win, if not a draw. And then Charleston Battery, that's also a tough game. I'm not going to deny that, but it's a team that we can beat and should beat. Question is, can we beat them after a congested schedule a couple weeks in a row? We'll see.
I think I'm taking the over as well. I'm waiting to see how much, Riverhounds Twitter explodes if we end up with 6 points by Saturday. And it's just like, holy crap, we're never going to lose again. Like, no, Kev, to your point, we're going to lose again. But like, that would be amazing to, stay on that streak. And, we'd probably jump to the top of USL's power rankings and all of that. But, yeah, I think I'm taking the over. Let us know, listeners, if you're taking the over the under 4.5 points over the next 3 games, basically by next Wednesday. Do you think we'll have more or less than 4.5 points? Guys, anything else you want to talk about as it relates to the Hounds? There's one other point that I wanted to bring up, and like I said, I was looking for some tweets and now I can't find them, but we're going to talk about it anyway.
Nothing that comes to mind.
Okay. So the only other thing that has been making waves is that the Rochester Rhinos are back. We don't know where they're playing, and their new owner is none other than Jamie Vardy. So, Josh, I know that, you've been sort of following this a little bit. What are your thoughts on Jamie Vardy investing in the Rhinos?
I mean, that's cool. I'm not going to deny them this. Like, it is a cool headline. He's a minority owner. I don't know how much he actually is putting into this team, but he is definitely a big name, and it's really cool to see any name tied to a historic franchise like Rochester Rhinos. It's nothing but good in my mind as far as that goes. There's also talks that they're going to have like a Netflix show or something like that from the same producers that make British Bake Off. So it's like they're going to have a lot of press, which is awesome. My big concern right now is it sounds like they're not coming to USL Championship. They're not coming to USL League One or League Two. Like, I don't know where they're going. Like, are they going to be in some like rinky-dink league at this point? And how interesting is that going to be? I guess anything can be interesting with the right, marketing stuff behind it, but it sounds like they're going to be semi-pro instead of being like, I don't want that for Rochester. I want Rochester to be in USL Championship. I'd be even okay with League One, but like really, I want Championship. Like I want to see them back, at least at where they were before. And the thought of them coming in lower league than this is kind of disappointing. And even with the big names tied to it and a documentary side to it, it still kind of feels like, oh man, that sucks. Sorry guys.
Kev, what are your thoughts on players like Vardy investing in the USL? Or I shouldn't even say USL, just in American lower league soccer.
I think it's cool. I mean, it's just another. I don't know. I don't really see how this. I mean, I guess you can always make a case for how this is potentially harmful for U.S. soccer, but I don't buy any of those arguments. I haven't thought deeply about it. Maybe there's an argument out there that I like that how it hurts U.S. soccer, but I don't think it does. I think it's cool. I think it brings attention. Vardy is a name that a lot of U.S. citizens who consume soccer as an entertainment product, a lot of them get it through the Premier League. Vardy's a big name. To see him tweet out a photo with a Rochester Rhino scarf, at a minimum, it gets them thinking for a second about U.S. soccer. Okay, that's kind of interesting. And so, and if he is actually putting money into this, I mean, look, you can. I haven't looked into this. The extent of me knowing this was like I saw the tweet, and that was the extent of it. But yeah, to have more resources kind of being put into U.S. soccer at any level is good. I completely agree with Josh that they should be back in the USL Championship, and it would be a shame if that wasn't the case. But no, I think it's great. I was super surprised. I thought it was like a Photoshop thing. I did not expect it. I was like, that's weird. That's worlds colliding. But no, I think it's great.
No disrespect to Tuffy. I wish it was us. I think you look at
well, it still could be. I mean, minority owner, right? I mean,
right, yeah. Look, so there's this trend, and I think that with the explosion of shows like Ted Lasso, you now have Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney bought into Wrexham in England, and now they're turning that into a TV show. Welcome to Wrexham. So you're going to have a lot of people that become fans of shows like that. You now have Vardy and the Rhinos, and you're going to have a lot of people that are watching this show all about the Rhinos, and they're going to fall in love with the Rhinos, and it's going to be a thing. Can you imagine if we got some sort of if you could pick any minority owner to buy into the Hounds and then they make a TV show about it, that would be huge. That's the kind of publicity you dream of, and you want to start putting butts in seats at Highmark Stadium. There you go. So if you could pick, Josh, anybody to invest in the Hounds that you think would sort of make a name, who do you think you're picking?
I mean, I originally said Vinnie Jones, and this is just my personal love of Vinnie Jones and the history of Vinnie Jones as an actor, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and all that kind of stuff. But also him just being the stereotypical brawler on the field, old school, just foul after foul and just rough player. I love his character. But I kind of wonder if that's a little bit too old of a player now, and people are gonna be like, "Who the hell is Vinny Jones?" If you don't know who he is, look him up. He's awesome. But yeah, I'm still gonna say it. I don't care. I feel like that'd be the most fun because obviously he's has that Hollywood money. We'll see, and he could come in and make some waves.
Kev, do you have any thoughts on somebody? Could be anybody. Doesn't have to necessarily be a former player.
I mean, I literally just thought about this on the spot, and you might have even said like a player, and I just didn't hear you. But like Joe Manganiello, or however the hell you say his name, Joe Manganiello.
Yeah.
He's a Pittsburgh. He's a Pittsburgh guy. He supports Pittsburgh teams. He has the Magic Mike thing going on. Like, he's a bigger actor, but he also is like, he's in like D&D stuff. Like, brings all people together. He has an interest in Pittsburgh. He's awesome. It seems like I don't really know anything about him other than the few YouTube videos I've seen. I think it'd be fun, right? I don't know. That'd be cool.
I'm going to take your actor a step further and say the one and only Mr. Jeff Goldblum. I think that if Jeff Goldblum invested in the team, can you imagine Jeff Goldblum at the games, like up in like the stand section and like cheering people on, and like that would be insane.
I can see it too, and it is insane. Him with like a martini or something like that, I'd be like, wow, this is crazy.
But I mean, it's weird. It's become one of these things where you see a lot of like current players are starting to invest in teams, particularly out west. I forget who it was that was recently announced that he became a part owner in San Diego. But then you have the whole thing with LA and all of the actors and Mia Hamm and all of them investing in LA. And I think all of that just brings more attention to the team and injects some funds into the team. And,
Wayne Rooney would be another fun one.
we always talk about Wayne Rooney as like, he should come play for us.
No.
Like he should own us.
That ship has sailed. I'm not taking Wayne Rooney right now, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of like players that kind of have like a grit to them, where I feel like people associate with, because that's what Pittsburgh's known for, and that's what kind of like the mentality you have with Pittsburgh. But yeah.
I could a legitimate possibility would be like Idris Elba. Like, I know he's really into soccer. He's like I think he's like a West Ham supporter or something. I think that's like he's in like East London or something is where he grew up. He's cool. I don't know. This is an exciting exercise. I like this. Let's just do an entire podcast about who should be a minority owner of the Hounds.
Imagine the crossover possibilities if we got Dave Filoni to be a co-owner.
Okay, now you're just making names up. Who's Dave Filoni?
You don't know who Dave Filoni is from Star Wars?
Dave Filoni, basically, what he put together the Clone Wars series?
He's essentially George Lucas's like right-hand man. He was like George Lucas was training him to like take over like the Star Wars empire, and he kind of has, because he makes like Mandalorian and all the new animated shows are all his and all that kind of stuff.
He graduated from, I think it was not South Allegheny, somewhere in the South Hills, Kev, like 5 or 6 years before I graduated. So he's from Pittsburgh, grew up there. Burger Brand just brought up another big hitter. What about Mark Cuban? Like another Pittsburgh boy. Can you imagine Mark Cuban? Dogecoin, like with the Hounds? Like that's a match made in heaven. Come on. Can you imagine if you could buy like tickets for Hounds games using Dogecoin?
We'd be like the East Coast version of like Las Vegas. Like it would just be stupid, exaggerate. Like
I'm not down with this one.
It'd be interesting.
Snoop, I think Snoop would be awesome.
I think I originally mentioned Snoop. I think Snoop would be fan. Snoop's a huge Steeler fan, so it'd be like invest in the team across the river, and like
keep the dog,
the dog thing. Yeah. Again, that's another one. You see him up in like the stands, like
him and Martha. Martha is just like. She's like putting, she's creating like a VIP section with like, hand sewn, chair backs or whatever.
What about charcuterie boards? Okay, let's go.
Snoop and Martha at a Steel Army tailgate would be incredible. That would be insane.
Agreed.
I think we've jumped the shark at this point.
So real quick, I got one last thing. This was something I was hoping to talk about last week, and then we lost power. I think it was Tampa. Tampa has their own mobile app. They kept advertising it during the game. And so we put out the question on Twitter, if the Riverhounds had their own mobile app, what unique features would you want to see included? So you guys can think about yours. Some of these were pretty good. Steve was clearly pandering to us by saying partnership with local podcasts for player interviews. We already have that, Steve. Like, we're fine. Tim Michaels at Captain Crash 95 said live feed of Bob Lilly audio during the games. Can you imagine if, like, while you were watching, you could just like tap in and listen to Bob the whole game?
That's the one, by the way. That's the one.
That is the one. That is insane.
I thought he was honestly going to say just live feed of Bob Lilly 24/7, just 24/7 Bob Lilly.
The Truman Show, but Bob
in
Lilly.
his office, like eating salad, like as he's thinking about who to start.
Yeah.
Chris Piccolo said a "Where Are They Now" feature that tracked former player stats. That would be cool. Our punk koala, he submitted 3 things. Said 1, Lily coin cryptocurrency powered by an elaborate lecturing player's proof of work ledger.
Oh yeah.
Number 2, 24/7 Matt Geica clubhouse style audio room with his commentary on everything from laundry to Euros to USL.
Yep.
Which Matt Geica replied, "Oh God." And number 3 was worldwide Tuffy Tots delivery orders, which I think
that's
perfect. Skipping through just a couple of these. Poor broke busy guy said Bob Lilly quote of the day. Can you imagine waking up every day to a Bob Lilly quote of the day?
That'd be really boring. Really
Only,
it would
only
be like
if it's
3
audio
pages long. Yeah.
and it's just him yelling after the game, like just clipping him yelling at the team after the games when they're in their huddle, and that's what it is. That's my alarm clock. Just Lily just barking something at me.
Yeah.
Our alarm should literally just be Lily yelling after the game something like, "You need to wake up!" Like that, just like it just works so smoothly.
Get forward.
I think we'll end it there. But great ideas, everybody. If you have ideas of like who you think would be a great minority owner for the Hounds outside of what we just said, or a great idea for a mobile app, because who knows? Maybe we will create a mobile app at some point.
We used to have one, by the way, for the Hounds. It was literally just the website, but as a mobile app. That's when everyone was making those mobile apps.
Yeah. They're just links to the website. The USL's app isn't terrible, but most of the things you click on, it just opens up their site like inside the app. So same thing. Well, guys, 3 wins is fun. 3 more wins is going to be even funner. So anything else that you guys want to touch on here before we call it a week and get ready for 2 more games before the next time we get together?
If you're going to come to the tailgate on July 3rd, it is going to be in the style of July 4th tailgate, which means we start at 12. And it's an all-day tailgate. We usually have some mimosas and pancakes or something like that on the grill at 12. And then, it goes until 7 o'clock when the game starts.
Whoop, whoop. Sounds like fun. All right. Well, if that is it, as Laura Ellen cordially reminds everyone to be sure to hydrate if you're going to be outside all that time.
It's important.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's it for this one. So thank you, everybody, for joining us live. Thanks for all of the submissions and the ideas and the comments. We really appreciate it. We obviously had a lot of fun with some of the suggestions from Twitter this week. I apologize. I know there's a Twitter thread out there somewhere that has a bunch of different people that would be great minority owners, but start it up again because that could be a really fun thing. And who knows? Maybe it'll happen. I don't know. But otherwise, make sure you head over to mongoals.com, click on support the show to become a Patreon follower. I need to get our graphics up real quick. I'm so far behind. There we go. Thanks to our sponsor, Roughneck Scarves, official scarf supplier to USL, MLS, and US Soccer. Get custom scarves for your group or team at roughneckscarves.com. Tired of the same old uniforms and cookie cutter templates from Nike and Adidas? Looking for a unique, completely custom kit for your youth club, Sunday league squad, adult, or even pro team? Icarus FC can help you create the kit of your dreams at an affordable price. Let them help you design your new custom kit today at icarusfc.com. Looking for more great USL news? Head over to bgn.fm, where we've now got over 100 fans that are writing and podcasting about the beautiful game. Lots of great features up on the site this week. Check them out at bgn.fm. Otherwise, thank you, everybody. We will talk to you very, very soon.
Cheers.
Later.